I forgotten about recording. So now we can. Who wants to be first speaker, you or me?
I have no preference, so I can do both.
Okay, I can be first speaker. So would you listen to me? And you keep time.
I will listen. Yeah, and I keep time.
Okay. Um, it should be about spreading the empathy circle method, but I feel today very tired and I have migraine, so I don't feel very well and it's kind of difficult to focus.
So what I hear, I will reflect you. What I hear is that you are aware that the subject is kind of about empathy groups, and at the same time you feel tired.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And have migraine.
you have your brain.
Yeah, I took already pill painkillers, so it should help, but don't feel very well. Um, to be honest, I feel I'm not good talker today. I'm trying to focus on our topic. Okay, let's start. We have one brilliant idea lately because we mostly do empathy circles in Extinction Rebellion in our movement. But empathy circle is not something that belonged to Extinction Rebellion. It was something that was created far, far earlier than Extinction Rebellion ever existed. So there is a part of this empathy circle action that has nothing to do with Extinction Rebellion. I stop there.
So I will reflect. What I hear is that you have a brilliant idea. I also sense some enthusiasm when you say that. You also share that empathy circles were there before Extinction Rebellion.
Mm-hmm. And lately we had this idea that we can invite somebody who is outside the movement, who is not activist, because we mostly focus on spreading empathy circle in a movement. But since we have coronavirus crisis and everybody is locked down, there is everywhere lockdown, and everybody sits at home, almost everybody. Maybe this is the moment when we can invite our friends who are not regular activists to the circle online.
Mm-hmm. So the idea is that we can also invite other people who are not yet in the XR movement, friends who are sitting at home, might also have some processes that need empathy, to also invite them. In that sense, expand the empathy circles and also expand the XR philosophy or movement.
Yeah. So this is empathy circle is a form regenerative practice. We call it regenerative culture and regenerative practice. And empathy circle, the idea is to spread, to go beyond the movement, to spread regenerative culture, to make it not just a culture of thank you, I see that, not just part of the movement, but culture in society, a movement in society beyond the I'm horrible today. I'm sorry for that. I feel like I can't speak. I'm sorry for that. Mm. I mean that we want to spread regenerative practice beyond the movement. That's what I wanted to say. I'm sorry.
What I hear you say is that you empathy circles is also a regenerative practice, kind of breathing life back into things, like regenerating. And you feel some enthusiasm that could be an important aspect now, and in that sense could also bring about the XR philosophy in these times. And I also hear that you said sorry several times, that you wish that you would be more energetic or clear at the moment.
Yeah.
There is I heard you say sorry, and that there's a part of you that wants to be more present, and at the same time, I guess that your body just says like, okay, tired.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I feel heard. Thank you, Richard. So now it's now it's turn. Richard become a speaker and chooses another active listener. Okay.
Yeah. So I heard from Carolina that she felt fully heard, which is kind of the signal to go to the next person. So as I've been reflecting now, it's my time now to share something of me, and I can choose somebody. I can freely choose. Most of the time we take care that everybody kind of has some turn, so to say. So I would like to ask Katie, would you like to reflect me back?
Yes, I can reflect you back.
Start my timer for 5 minutes.
Oh, just to say, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
It just came up, you said my internet connection is unstable, but hopefully nothing will happen. So I'm listening, but if I go, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Most of the time when that happens, kind of the internet connection is not stable, it means that the image is probably going to stand still, but the sound most of the time goes on.
Okay, thank you.
So I also see your video. It stops and it starts, but I can still hear you. Okay.
Thank you.
So empathy circles for me. What I like is this metaphor. It's in a way that there is a coronavirus going on now, which is a form of crisis. And I see corona kind of as a crisis, as also the climate crisis is a crisis. And I see that corona is a lot faster in a way than the climate crisis. The climate crisis is relatively slow. And corona is kind of a high-speed crisis. I also see that corona kind of requires a lot of doctors and nurses that are available to help physically people kind of who get ill. And somehow I feel myself also, I feel a responsibility, because I'm not a doctor or a nurse, that there is, besides the physical support that's needed to deal with the virus, that there will also be kind of a wave of emotional support needed. And personally, I really feel this thing, okay, just like the doctors and the nurses who are now busy kind of do physical support, that there is a need for emotional support, empathy support, and that also that wave will also come, that there will be more and more people being locked, maybe with people that they have conflicts with, questions about meaning, about fear. So I expect that there will be a lot of empathy needed in society and in the whole world the coming weeks. And that's where I feel a personal calling. Would you like to reflect that back?
Yes, I'm going to try. I think firstly you talked about the coronavirus and it was a crisis, as is climate change a crisis. So coronavirus is a much quicker crisis, and there's going to need to be lots of physical support, as in doctors and nurses in the medical units, but there's a much bigger, well, you didn't say much bigger, but this will bring on a need for emotional support, and the empathy, which is why it's important to you to deal with some of your conflicts. I probably missed a massive chunk of what you said. I'm just thinking if there's anything that I've missed. But basically, you discussed that you feel your part to play in this is within the emotional well-being area, and this movement, I guess, that we're doing now.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah. And that's also what I feel, that kind of in a way it's like crisis management. In a way, I'm myself aware, kind of I'm already sensing myself that there is this time before Corona and the time now. And the time before Corona already seemed quite some time ago. It doesn't seem like 2 or 3 weeks ago, but it feels like, okay, yeah, there was a time when things were different, and it's for me already somehow emotionally it's already far away. Kind of I'm feeling we are already in some kind of process where I'm completely involved in. And I also see it as an opportunity for humanity. How do we deal with rapid change, and how can we take care of ourselves, and how can we find the energy to regenerate ourselves in a different framework, as my framework changed from city life to sitting behind a computer and only having physical contact with like 1 or 2 people. So there's the challenge that I see. And I think that empathy circles are one of the tools there to support people through this massive change that's going on now.
Right. So, sorry, I'm just thinking. My mind's a bit strange today. Yeah. Sorry, I've gone completely blank. My mind's gone completely blank. Yes, you began with, I've got it now, sorry, it sometimes takes me a minute. You began with how now and where we are presently to where we were 2 or 3 weeks ago in terms of the coronavirus. It feels very far away to you, and you feel that we're already moving and we're already in some kind of process where we're nowhere near where we started. And that the regenerative movement and the empathy circle movement could be a strong part of those changes. I'm really sorry, I had a really blank moment then where my brain just wouldn't function.
No, it's fine. Kind of.
But, is that correct? I've probably missed a massive chunk. I'm so sorry. I just went completely blank.
Yeah,
but basically, the regenerative movement, I think, is what you said. Is now is the time, really, and we're at the beginning of something, and it's not going to be the same. And this is the beginning of it. I'm not probably quoting you word from word, but this is what I'm picking up from you. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you. I feel heard. Also, the time is over, so kind of we have So as I feel fully heard now, kind of it's your turn now, Katie. So you can pick somebody, and then you can share, and I will take care of the time. So there's 5 minutes roughly.
Thank you very much. I'll pick Parry. I can't see you, Parry, but you can probably hear me, can you?
Yes, I'm here.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, I think I'm feeling very much in a similar vein to Richard in terms of, you know, I was in this kind of process with XR that I started probably around June last year. And I got heavily drawn into XR and really feeling that this was the movement of all movements, if you like. This was somewhere I could put my energy positively. Because I was feeling, before that, I was feeling really, what's the point? And then I found Extinction Rebellion, and it kind of rebooted me in a way. Sorry, I'll stop there because it's too much otherwise, isn't it? Yeah.
No, because my English is not good, it's hard for me to reflect. And because of that, if it's possible in...
That's okay, don't worry. I struggled a minute ago. Yeah.
I didn't find the point that you have started your talkings, but I'm trying to say. I think I have heard that maybe this empathy circle or something like that was so strange for you, but when you talk to Richard and when you are here, you are more comfortable, and that was joyful for you. I don't know, I heard correctly or I'm so wrong. I don't know.
That's okay. That's okay. I think it could be joyful if I learn to practice it more. I think I find it hard probably to retain a lot of information all at once because I'm dyspraxic, but and it's also something you get better at, I think, when you practice. But I think what I'm trying to say is XR brought me into a movement. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I hear you, but it's hard me to. It's hard, so hard for me to understand. Excuse me.
Yeah, XR brought me into a movement that I believe in, and I believe could make changes. And I was really interested in the regen area of Extinction Rebellion. And then when I found the empathy circles, I thought that's exactly the kind of thing that I think we need as a culture, not as XR, but as a whole culture. It's missing.
Okay, give a chance, Perry. Okay, try Perry now.
I heard. I heard that you think that this empathy culture is more. You think that it really works and it can really help us, and it can be part of. We need it as a part of our culture to hear each other in this way.
Yes.
And you are so interested in this.
Yes. Yes, thank you. I feel heard, thank you. I'm assuming my time's up now, is it?
I think you have time.
You have
Okay.
more time, so kind of here is the...
Thank you. Thanks. Yes, in kind of like Richard was saying, the coronavirus, I think it's almost like something we were expecting already, but somewhere a lot further down the line has jumped in before we were ready for it, to me. So we kind of knew something like this was going to happen, but not as soon as it happened.
Give chance.
And yeah, actually, Richard, one of the things you said was there is opportunity within this, although it's really dark. You didn't say it's really dark. I think it's really dark, but you did mention the word opportunity, and I agree.
Give chance to Perry, okay? Because
Yeah,
she needs smaller chunks of.
Yeah.
Kate, excuse me, because your your listener is so really slow.
No, no, no.
And
I found it as difficult. So honestly, don't worry.
I hear that you said that maybe the older human or maybe you uh, predict that it can happen, something like coronavirus, but not as soon as it happened in our society, and all the people are shocked. And but it can be, it was a
No, that's right. I'm not sure opportunity was the right word because it's horrible. But everything's got a balance, hasn't it? There's some things that might come out of it and make us more aware of ourselves.
you look at it as an opportunity to.
Yes. On one side, but on another, it's just awful. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Perry, now it's your turn. Thank you, Katie. Perry, your turn. You become a speaker and you chooses your listener.
I choose Richard. I want to say about my relationship. I found today I have a very painful relationship with my boyfriend, I think, and today I find that in some places in that relationship I was telling to myself that it is not a relationship, Perry, that some things are not in the correct way, and but I cannot trust myself because I never have been in a really close relationship with anybody, and in the other side I was talking to myself that no, all relationship is like this, and you must go and you must try to solve the problems. And
Can I
today
reflect back?
when
Can I reflect back?
what?
Can I reflect back?
Yes, thank you.
So what I hear is that you had issues with your partner, also about the relation, and that you also have this thought like, yeah, there is not a relation that you would like to have, and that it's also that you feel uncertain in that perspective.
We were for 6 month relationship, and it was my first time that I'm so close to somebody. But in some places I say no, this is not a real relationship, an emotional relationship. But I cannot trust myself because it was my first time that I was in a relationship.
So what I hear is that there is some, for you it's a very close relation that you have now. It's also what you say, it's the first relation that is this close as this one. And at the same time you feel that something is missing.
Yes.
And that there is also that you're not fully able to trust yourself because you say this is the first time that it's such a close relation. So you feel that there is something missing, and at the same time there is perhaps this question like, how should things be? How can things be? And some.
Yes. And today I have lots of judgments for him. 70 pages in my mobile. And I really wanted to be connected with him too. And today I find that some story, maybe this is a thing that helped me to connect it to him, that he has lots of problems when he was child, and maybe he don't need a relationship, he only wants someone. It's a judgment, but it's a very bold guess in me and very bold judgment that he only wants a relationship to show his suffers from his childhood. A karO is a relationship, but in the bottom of that, he needs understanding and hearing. You know.
Yeah. So what I hear is that you have some judgments today about him, and one of those judgments is that that he is not looking for a relation, but there is something in his past that's kind of troubling him, and that he needs kind of support for that. And there is also hearing that there is also something else that is important for you that's not in there. There is something missing in that part.
Yes, I find that, oh, that's this, and the 70 pages does not important for me now, because I find that I have lots of evidence that is true about his life, and because I find this about his life, I connected to him, and uh, I find that he needs understanding, and I want maybe to do that for him, not in a relationship, but as a friend or something. I really want to do that, but that's not a relationship.
Yeah. So what I hear is that you see that he needs understanding and support, and that you're also willing to do that, but more in the role of a friend and not so much in the role of a partner.
Yes. But at first I think I must receive some deep empathies to because I have in 6 months I have lots of pain in myself, and I tolerate them, and now at first maybe I must receive some empathies, then started to help him. Or
I'm just gonna flash this so that it's time.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that we have to stop straight away, so we can just finish where we are, but it knows that you are kind of, the 5 minutes are over, so we can still continue. So what I hear is that that there's also pain in you, kind of, for 6 months now, and that you also need some support and empathy, and that there is also a part in you that just needs some support and empathy at the moment.
Yes. Thank you, Richard.
Okay.
Okay, so now it's turn. Richard become a speaker and chooses another listener.
Yeah. Rowan, would you like to reflect me?
Yes, sorry, I disappeared. It said my connection was unstable and it threw me off.
No, but you're back. Yeah.
I'm back.
Yeah. I'm also the timekeeper, so I will start my own time now. So we do 5 minutes roughly.
Okay.
Empathy circles. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's also kind of by listening to Perry. I also feel in a way that's kind of in a way that's also my relation with society, or in a way that I feel like there is this society which kind of wants a lot of stuff from me, and I also want something back from society which I don't get at the moment. So it's kind of interesting that I see some similarities there.
I hear you saying that in reflecting on Perry's relationship, you are illuminated in your relationship with society, that it has many similar disconnects, that you're not getting what you need from it and it wants things from you that you're perhaps not able at this time to give.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it also in that sense, kind of for society at the moment, I see that it is shaking. I also had this idea that it's a German word, so I have to translate it. It's almost like the system body of society, kind of Systemkörper, kind of the society as a body or as a physical thing that's kind of stuttering now. You know, things are shut down. It's almost like certain organs are going to get closed down. You know, kind of basically all the artists are put down. Kind of the organ of society, the artist organ is shut down. You know, schools are shut down, and and kind of everything goes to, all the life energy goes to shops and hospitals. Um, and I can see that there is this society that kind of that needs something at the moment. It's struggling in itself, the whole society, almost like a physical body, kind of with organs crashing at the moment, or crashing or shutting down, literally shutting down.
I hear you saying that society is like a body, and that you feel like important organs like the arts and education are shut down, and the energy is going to the organs of commerce instead. And it's like the whole society is ill at this time. Is that right?
Yeah. And also kind of this, I like this metaphor, kind of this organ metaphor, that there are certain functions that are somehow depleted of oxygen at the moment, kind of, the artists. And another thing, kind of, that's what kind of intrigues me just while we were having this talk, also with relation to Extinction Rebellion. There is this huge excitement in a way. It's like, kind of everything that Extinction Rebellion wanted just happened now, kind of, in a way, there are no flights anymore, So in a way, kind of, although it was not kind of a direct consequence of XR, but all the wishes of XR, like no traffic anymore, kind of no flights anymore, like, everything that was there to stop about pollution and about, oh, we got it now. We are somehow in the situation where the skies are blue, kind of, and I also feel now, like, from an XR perspective, it's kind of interesting to see, although it probably didn't happen at the way that we thought it would happen, but okay, we are there now. So how can we hold this? How can we keep what we in a way cut by accident or by virus, that we cut this kind of self-reflection and things shutting down and air pollution stopping? How can we, this sudden present, how can we keep that? How can we, I don't know the English word, but kind of how can we keep that? I don't know the other word.
I hear you saying that you would like to maintain the things that we have gained in the virus in terms of clean air, in terms of no flights, few cars on the road. And what can XR do now to help change the mindset for everyone so that we can maintain these good things that have come out of the shutdown?
Yeah. And I think in that perspective, that it's also that empathy circles in a way, I think, can also help people to realize that although the system is stuttering and the system is kind of falling apart or having difficulty in running, that there is actually something kind of by accident, but something really nurturing that's happening now, is that we sit here together and that people have time now. And I also talk with other people who saying like, oh, I have finally time to have breakfast with my daughter and kind of I've time to think about. And I think that empathy circles are a way to share that and to nourish that there is, besides all the horrors, so to say, that there is also something really interesting and really valuable happening.
I hear you saying that empathy circles can amplify the good things that are happening, people taking time for reflection, taking time for connection, and that empathy circles might give us another avenue to expand that connection.
And also that there,
my connection is unstable. If I disappear, it's not me.
And also that there is some happiness or so in this whole thing. It's not just fear and doom, but that there is some seed of purity or something in this.
I hear you saying that out of the current chaos, there is hope, that it's possible to be empathic and to change society, and that this disruption might actually help us to do that. Is that right?
Yeah, thank you. I feel heard.
Thank you. I don't know who's gone already. Would you listen to me, karO, or have you already done your...
Okay, I will listen to you.
Thank you. I don't really know what's up with me. I've been very much on lockdown. Santa Clara County, where I live, is one of the hotspots in the United States for the coronavirus. And the state of California, the governor shut us down about 2 weeks ago. And I've been out of my house twice in the last 2 weeks, once in mask and gloves to go to the grocery store, and yesterday just to go out to the park so that I wasn't sitting in my room. And it was kind of amazing how many people were out despite the lockdown.
Okay, so you live in a place that is kind of hotspot of coronavirus epidemic, COVID-19 epidemic, and your city was closed, locked down about 2 weeks ago completely. And during those 2 weeks, you were out just twice. Once to go to grocery shop, and the other one just to spend a little bit time in a fresh air in a park. Yeah, was it park?
Park, yes.
Yeah, and you were surprised that so many people are on the streets when there is a lockdown.
Some of it I understand. The park does have an encampment of those with no homes. It's a homeless encampment, or an encampment of the unhoused, as we try to say, because homeless implies that they don't belong here. Whereas most people who no longer have a house lived in our city before they became houseless. And so it's not like they're homeless. They live here, they're at home, but they're unhoused. And so some of them were the unhoused. I have a ministry among the unhoused. And so I know many of the people who live in that park, as it's my closest park. And one of the members of that encampment is actually currently living in my backyard, because I did not want her to be in the general population. Because if you live in a tent, you can't wash your hands all the time. You don't have any water, and the stores have no hand sanitizer. And so I'm protecting her, I hope, by having her live in my backyard and have a cold water studio place to wash. I have a belly dance studio in my backyard.
So you see the difference between two terms, homeless and houseless. Houseless, yeah? That was the word you used?
Unhoused, yeah.
Unhoused, okay. Unhoused. And you said that many people that you describe as unhoused had once houses in your city, in your town, and now they lost them and they live in a park, and you know them, many of them very well, and you try to protect one of these people, a person who you know quite well, and she lives in your backyard right now. You have a small studio in your backyard, so she can use water, running water, and it's more safe for her being in a little bit isolated place, not with other people without running water. You hope that you protect her.
I hope so. My connection is unstable. If I disappear, it's not me. It keeps flashing. Your internet connection is unstable. But that's my hardest thing right now, is that normally I'm out in the community working with people. I'm retired, but I am a minister, and I have a night ministry. I go out at night and talk to anyone who needs somebody to talk to, but I can't do that right now. You can't get within 6 feet of anybody right now. Can you feel heard at a distance of 6 feet? Not so much. Thank you, Richard.
So you're struggling with this situation because you used to be among people, helping them. You are retired, but you serve as minister, and you usually talk a lot with people and listen to them, and you don't have this opportunity to do that because it's impossible when people have to stay 6 feet from each other, keep distance. It's kind of difficult to talk, to hear each other, to feel heard, and you're struggling with this situation because you can't serve other people.
I am. Thank you, karO. I feel quite heard.
Thank you. So I will choose Katie. Katie, would you listen to me?
Hello. I'm going to try my hardest. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the coronavirus dominates our talk. And it's amazing how many people comes to Empathy Circle lately. And I think it is because we feel we lost opportunity to be together. So we try to reconnect. I stopped there.
Okay. The coronavirus is bringing more people into empathy circles, and you feel that's because they're looking for somewhere for connection and to reconnect with people. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, I hope that Empathy Circle become popular among activists and other people, but I think that the situation of lockdown is, I don't know if it's the right word, symptomatic, kind of uh, um, creates a very specific situation when people need more than usually to connect with others, want to talk, don't know what to do with themselves. They seek connection with other people in such situation, but they can't go closer than 6 feet, so they try to connect online.
Okay. You talked about, I think what you said is that empathy circles and the activism movement, which is kind of what it's grown from, you didn't say it's something different, but I think that's what you meant. And then now people are using it to try and find a connection that's missing in their reality at the moment because of the coronavirus.
Yeah.
And that, yeah.
Yeah. But I also think that will be kind of I don't know if it's the right word, replacement of online meetings. There will be moment when everybody will be fed up with all the online meetings. It will be too much. And I think this moment is coming. And what will gonna happen then? What is next?
Okay, so I think you said the word replacement. I couldn't hear properly, but I think the word
Replacement. I mean replacement.
yeah. So you're concerned that at some point people are going to be kind of like that, and people are engaging with it now, but it's not a sustainable thing, and people are going to get fed up. And then at that stage, what happens?
Yeah.
Next? What will the process be?
Yeah. I'm wondering what will happen when we all fed up with online meetings. We probably will still work online, as many of us do. But what will we do with our life? What do we stay online? Will we stay online? I'm wondering. I don't know. What will gonna happen?
So I think I hear you. Have you finished? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I hear you saying basically what's going to replace this?
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen when this process is further down the line?
Mm-hmm.
What will people do? Are they going to come offline? And if they come offline, what will they do instead?
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yeah. So wrapping up. Yeah. So wrapping up, it's kind of a great challenge for culture, for our society, for any society. And it's unpredictable. It never happened before, I think.
Okay. So wrapping up, it's a great challenge what's happening at the moment, and it's never happened before,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very unpredictable.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I feel heard. So now it's your turn. You choosing somebody whom you want to speak to.
Thank you. Thanks.
You can choose whoever you want.
Yes, I'll choose Rowan, please. Can you hear? Oh, you've got your speaker off.
Yeah, I turned it off when I'm not talking, but I will listen.
So I was about to listen to you then. It's me, isn't it? Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because we're using the. I think in terms of what Carolina said, in terms of people using this process more at the moment for reconnection or some form of connection. That's true. But there's also a group of people who are isolated because they're not very good at technology, or they can't use technology. For instance, if they're older or disabled, but they can't access it. So although
I hear you. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go on. It's okay. I said lots.
So I hear you saying that this technology is connecting some of us, but it's not connecting all of us. People with disabilities, people who are technophobic or just have never learned. And I don't know where you're going with that, so I will let you talk.
Homeless people, I guess. I suppose there's a vast array of people that can't access this. And young children if they don't have parents that provide it for them. Which brings on another thing, actually. How do we... I did watch... Sorry, I'm jumping everywhere. It's probably driving me crazy. I did watch an empathy circle online. And I think it was Edwin and an Irish guy, thinking back. I think it was Edwin, talking about how you could use empathy circles in education. And it was really interesting. And I wonder, because for me, if you want a movement to grow, it needs to be something that grows in childhood and becomes normalised, if you like. So the way to make this work would be to get children doing it, basically, if you like. And how do we do that?
So I hear you asking, as a result of having seen Edwin and a fellow from Ireland talking about it in education, how do we get children to learn empathy, especially those who don't perhaps have internet at home or parents who encourage them to use these platforms? And that having children learn it is a way to bring it into society, that if they grow up with it, then empathy will grow.
Yes. And I suppose my thoughts around that is how do we bring it into the mainstream so that it can be practiced more often, and maybe in this period of crisis, if you like, which I don't think is going to be the only period of crisis, and it's going to end, because we all know climate change is coming and upon us. It's the beginning of lots of crises, probably. But within that, how do we, what's the word? Infiltrate, maybe. I don't know if that's the right word. How do we infiltrate it into the mainstream? How do we get people to join or allow their children to engage in this? We need to get into the schools, really, I think, and the homeschool movements.
So I hear you hoping that in this crisis and in the crises to come, that we can bring this technique and similar techniques into the schools, especially perhaps into homeschools, which are very often perhaps more technological than our public schools. I think that's a wonderful idea. I'm sorry, that's not a reflection. I'd love to hear more.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I feel heard. I think I've probably had about 5 minutes, haven't I?
Oh, I haven't seen Richard hold up his phone.
No, I can't see it, but...
You have 30 seconds more.
Oh, 30 seconds. Oh, I'll just say thank you. You heard me very well. I've done this quite a lot.
Thank you. So, Pari, will you listen to me?
Yes.
Awesome. So I feel the need to reflect that I'm a wheelchair user, so I'm a disabled person. That doesn't make me less of a techie. In fact, it probably makes me more of a techie. I use Zoom for the last 3 years in my local interfaith council. Our executive committee has Zoom meetings so that we don't have to meet in person for, you know, an every other week meeting to get things done. And I wish that when I was working as I said, I'm an old lady, I'm retired, that people had been willing to do this. I think this crisis is showing people that the refusal they had to allow disabled people to participate is misguided.
Okay, stop. Let her.
I'm stopped.
Yes, yes. Ron, I say your name correctly?
Rowan.
Rowan. Excuse me if I haven't understand you well. I reflect, but because my English is not so good, because of that, maybe I have missed some things, lots of things, not some things. I hear that you named yourself as a disabled person, and you said that maybe because now you can use the Zoom and the other things to connect to the other peoples, something like that you said. I don't know. And when you were working, it's hard to connection, but you have retired now, and you have maybe lots of opportunities to connect to the people from Zoom and other things. And maybe I hear that you have some regrets for the people who I don't know, are not using. I don't know, Ron. Can you, if it's possible for you, please?
So during my work life, it was very hard to get permission to work from home, even though my job could have been done from home. So this crisis is showing people, oh, look, the whole population can work from home practically. And I hope going forward that people with disabilities like me will be able to participate more fully in the workforce thanks to everyone's experience during this crisis.
Oh, thank you. I hear that you said in the time that you were going to work, it was really hard find jobs to do at home. And now in this new coronavirus crisis, the older people has understand that we must work from home, and you are so hopeful that maybe this situation and the understanding that happened now for the older people around the world help them when they came to the they came out from this crisis, the coronavirus, that to let the other peoples and be thankful for the situation that have, and maybe let them to work as they are okay with that, not make problems or.
Thank you. The other thing that I've been enjoying, Richard, is that many of my favorite musicians are doing house concerts online and charging, you know, pay what you wish through PayPal or other things. And so I'm actually getting way more art than I can usually have access to. And I'm really enjoying that aspect of this. And I hope that after everybody else can go back outside, that there will still be things going on online. I'm not tired of it yet.
As I hear that you can listen to the lots of the peoples who are doing who are playing music instruments or something. They are musicians. I cannot say the words. And they help. They let the people to pay as much as they want by PayPal and other things. And you're so joyful for you, and it's not hard for you to be at home, and yeah, you never felt tired or something like that, and it shows that something has changed, and in a good way, maybe.
Thank you, Pari. I feel heard, and your English is very good. Don't worry about it.
So now it's your turn, Perry. you choosing someone you will be speaking to. Whom you want to speak?
I choose Kate. Kate, maybe, I don't know. Maybe there is only Richard and Kate, and because I have some trait for it with Richard, I'm going to choose Kate this time. When I heard from Ruan about that she helped another woman to come to her house and help him, I became so happy that peoples all over the world are helping to each other, and some values that are important in around me are important for the other people from in the around world. And when I heard from you about your challenges, your thinkings about children that you love, you have some hopes that children learn empathic connection in schools and something like that. It has lots of hopes for me and happiness for me. I'm happy to hear that.
Right. I think what I'm hearing is when Rowan was talking about the lady that she's helping, the homeless person that's staying in her garden, and people helping each other and being empathic with each other, it gives you hope. And also, you were thinking about empathy circles and how they might relate to children, and how this gives you a feeling of hope. Is that?
Yes. And when I heard from Roshan about the new things that she's finding in this situation, and I always thinking with myself that people in their life, somebody gave birth to all of us, and now we can choose. We want to live, and or we didn't want to live by helping each other or letting us to have COVID and go into the horror world. I don't know, and it helps us to choose the life instead of only living in this world, and in a creative way too, as Ruan said that too. I find two things. The thing is in that situation that we can choose life, not only because living in this world, and the other thing is that it is a chance for all of us to live in a creative way, not only living. And I'm really happy to hear some examples in Ron's talkings.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Yeah, I think you were saying, I didn't quite hear the beginning. I'll say what I think I heard. You were saying that I think what you were saying is that what we're doing now is you've got a choice to go there if you want to. Is that what you meant?
Yes, it's a choice to life, not only be in a regular way.
So a choice to...
We can decide we want to live or not.
You can decide if you want to leave. Did you say leave?
Yes, yes.
Leave, not live, leave. Yeah.
Yes, live in this world, yes.
Yes. So, so in a sense, you'd like to hear more from Rowan, I think you said, about ways of living in this world. When you say that, I think you mean this platform that we're on now, on kind of the internet reality. Is that what you mean?
Yes, I think this situation helps us in two ways. One, being more creative in our life, and we are more happy maybe in some situation, as Ron said, and in other cases that from deep levels, we have decided we want to live or not. Because we have an illness, we can go to streets and other places, and we go to the other world. Or no, we want to be in this world. We want to help each other, you know, or not.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I think what I'm hearing is you basically you can choose whether to live in this way, in and be creative and artistic, and there's different ways, creative ways of being in this world, if you like, or you
Yes,
can
yes.
leave if you don't want to.
Yes,
I
yes.
think that's what you mean, but I'd really like you to kind of define it more, what you mean, to be honest, if you're happy to. Yeah.
Okay, karO.
It's she says you reflecting. That's all we do, and we let everybody choose if they want to say something or not. We don't ask questions.
Don't question. Okay, apologies.
No, don't apologize. It's the natural reflex, you know. We want sometimes to ask, but that kind of rule that let everyone respect boundaries of every speaker, kind of.
Yes.
So now
Yeah,
it's your
thank you.
turn, Katie. Katie, now it's your turn. You choosing someone you will speak to.
Can I choose you, please?
Okay, I will listen to you.
Thank you. You know, I'm not sure what I want to say. I'm just trying to think it through. I'm really sorry if you can hear a funny noise. My washing machine is spinning really quickly.
So you are not sure what you want to say, and you afraid that might distract us with your washing machine, which we works very quickly now, and you're afraid that we hear that.
Yes, thank you. I think it's interesting while you're in the process of the empathy circle, reflecting on how that works and learning how it works while you're in it, if you like, as I just did with Parry, because there was a part of me with Parry where I felt I wasn't feeding back in the correct way, in terms of I wasn't quite sure what she meant, and I felt like I wanted to feed back correctly, so I felt a little bit guilty, I guess, for not quite getting it. Does that make sense?
So you're noticing that when you were reflecting back what Perry was saying, you had some difficulties with doing that correctly as you think. You wasn't sure if are if you were doing that correctly, and you felt kind of guilty because of that you don't reflect properly. You didn't feel well with that.
Yeah. Yes, I felt like she was trying to share something important to her, and I wasn't grasping it enough to reflect it back to her properly because I was ambiguous about her meaning.
So there was the moment that you were ambiguous of what Perry was saying. You wasn't sure what she means, and you feel that caused you this ambiguity, caused you not reflecting properly. And it is important for you because you feel that Perry was sharing something very important to her.
Yes. Yes. I guess when you're in the circle as we are, it's learning how to manage that, I guess, because it just moments move on, and you know that time has passed, and you feel like you want to say, "I'm really sorry, I keep going" or whatever. But you're, you know, that's just part of it. But I find that quite difficult, if I'm honest.
So when you are in this process, you find it quite difficult, but time goes on and it's kind of difficult. You would like to say apology, but time, the talk is going on and goes on, and you have to keep up, and it's difficult, and probably we need to learn that. That's what you mean?
Yes. Yes, that's what I mean. Sorry, I'm moving around. It's because it said your battery is about to go. So I'm plugging it in quickly before it dies. But yes, that is what I meant.
Okay.
Is my time gone?
No, you still have over 30 minutes or 40 minutes, 40 seconds.
Thank you. There you go. That's plugged in. Yes, it's interesting watching some of you in the circle, because I feel some of you probably, I don't know for sure, you might just be natural, might be your work, you might be a counsellor, I don't know, but some of you seem more skilled at retaining the information, and I guess maybe that's through the practice of doing this that you've become more skilled, and also how much information you give too, not too much.
Okay. So you're observing how we behave during the circle. You're observing us in a process, and you're noticing that some of us seems to be more skilled, kind of having, it seems like we are counselors, or we have some kind of practice of doing it, and it looks like it's easier for us to reflect. So it might be a kind of training that help us to do that.
Yes, I think, and that's what's great about it, because obviously I'm at home today. I've had my day has been slower because I've not been at work, and I've got more time to do this, which is why I'm back.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel by doing it, you're obviously going to get better at active listening, which is why it's so good. Yeah.
So you are happy with the fact that you are at home and you have more time and you can participate in such practice, because this way you might become better and better in it, you believe?
Yes. Yes. Thank you. I feel heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Probably we don't have much time. Richard, would you listen to me? Yeah, I think that empathy circle requires a lot of practice. It's good to practice. And I'm still learning. I love to practice that. And actually, when I don't do that every week, I miss that. I feel like something is missing. So I kind of need to have this contact with others in empathy circle and practice. I stopped that.
So what I hear is that you say that there is this practice aspect of empathy circles, that there is um, that you also miss it in a way if you haven't done it for some time,
Mm-hmm.
and that you also feel that there is this ongoing growth in yourself and also in the empathy circles of growth of listening,
Mm-hmm.
kind of.
And I noticed that sometimes I feel, well, I also have problems with my language skills, similarly to Perry. But sometimes I'm kind of focused and it's easy to reflect. And sometimes, like at the beginning of this meeting, I was completely lost. I couldn't even say word by myself. I wasn't able to speak. So it was kind of one big mess. But I can somehow reorganize, reset myself, and suddenly I can speak. So it kind of fluctuates. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse.
What I hear is that you also have something with language, that there is English is not your native language,
Mm-hmm.
that you also have sometimes difficulty of getting into the process of listening and reflecting. Also in the beginning of this event, that you had some, that in a way you feel less connected, and at the moment I sense and I see that you're more in flow, and that there is something like founding back connection with yourself or with your, or there is something that I see there's something that you cut back.
Well, I mobilized and try to focus and somehow switch. I noticed that sometimes I come to the meeting very tired and kind of distracted, but thanks to practice, it's easier every time. It's more easier to switch and focus. It become easier and easier for me. Well, not always goes well, but I notice this
Hmm.
tendency
So what
that.
I hear from
Mm-hmm.
so what I hear from you, that there's also this aspect of switching, that you can switch from something to into something, that there is this switch moment, that you can feel like there is some conscious choice, like, hey, I can switch, I can turn the switch. But it's not always easy. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can mobilize and focus, even if when I'm
Yeah,
tired, and if I should have problem with focusing on somebody's speaking, somebody's
Mhm.
speech, even though I can mobilize and listen carefully. Well, usually.
So what I hear, it's also about being able to focus and to
Yeah.
focus on what somebody's saying.
Yeah. But it requires practice. Yeah, as you Katie says. Okay, thank you. I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Perry, would you like to reflect me? So what I realize as what I sense is that the big benefit of empathy circles is that it helps people to listen, and also to connect people through listening. And actually that is a skill in current society that doesn't really have a place at the moment, kind of, there is no real function in society that's say like, hey, people, let's listen to each other. And I think that's something unique of empathy circles, that it has the intention to listen, and that people are willing to say like, yeah, I'm willing to listen to almost complete strangers.
As I hear you said that the more important maybe part of empathy circle that we are practice listening, and we are going to connect it with each other by listening, and it helps us to connect it with the other people in our society that are strange for us. In some cases we think that we are listening each other, but we in reality no, we didn't listen to each other. By practicing here or in, we can be more connected with them in the society too.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's also for me one of the things that was before, like, okay, how will we go back if everything goes back to normal, or at least the old normal? Will we still be online? And for me, that would be, I already see things now that I want to listen more, or so. I want to, and I can really enjoy in this moment of chaos to listen and kind of identify or find those things where people say like, yeah, with all this chaos I'm actually happy, kind of. And also hearing from Rowan like, oh yeah, kind of, I can watch music online where I couldn't normally go. It's like, oh yeah, I kind of, yes, thank you for sharing that, kind of. I was not aware of that. And mothers who tell like, okay, I can breakfast with my girls without having the stress they have to go to school, they have to do homework, and that there is, in a way, in all this chaos, and there are kind of, I feel this metaphor of, there are small flowers, growing, and I really enjoy like being in multiple empathy groups and kind of Zoom things where, oh, I see something growing there. There is something growing there, and how much in this social devastation, kind of, that there are also kind of little plants or little things are growing, and it's kind of, I see, oh yeah, that's kind of a nice function also of this online platforms.
In the past, maybe you're in your life, it was not so familiar with you, or you are not so connected in internet, and maybe in the you watch to music and something like that. That was when you come to empathy circles, you find it's a maybe a joyful places that you can see. mm, some kind of aware come to you that, oh, that's happening there, that's happening there, something is growing, and some kind of understanding between people are going and coming, and uh, that is a um, sign of growing in society for you. I don't know I have understand correctly or not, Richard.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that there is, and also having a way bigger reach, or so, kind of, talking with you, you're from Iran, kind of, I don't have any regular connection with people from Iran. It's kind of, okay, now we are connected, and I can hear how things are going with you. And with Carolina from Poland, kind of, I think I know very few people from Poland, although it's relatively close. And now we're sitting like, once a month we are talking with each other and hearing how things are. And also hearing that we all struggle with the same thing, that we're also, that we speak different languages, and that we are a little bit uncertain if people understand us. And, and also in other groups, like, do I take too much time, or, is it okay if I say something, and do I really understand it? And that's some kind of very basic thing, and that we are all the same in that, and that kind of, I think it's also vulnerability, that vulnerability kind of connects us. And I think that's where empathy circles bring people together in a kind of, in their vulnerability or in their preciousness.
As I hear that you maybe being in empathy circles, you can connect with people all over the world and find that in some basic, in most of the basic maybe, we are all together. It's not how we talk to it, our language or our culture or something like that. And it is so interesting for you and joyful for you because maybe the connection is so important for you.
Yeah, thank you. I feel heard. I think we have like 2 minutes left or so, 2 or 3 minutes left. So I think at the moment it doesn't make so much sense to start a new thing. What we might do is, I think, what I always like is kind of the time that we have left to just kind of have some kind of closure, or maybe just look each other in on the pictures or something.
Yeah, maybe somebody wants to add something without reflection, though, but just say something before we join the main session. Any thoughts?
The Metropolitan Opera in New York is offering opera online. There are at least 15 or 20 museums around the world that are doing virtual tours. My local parks are doing parks, you know, taking a camera out and showing you the history of this park. I mean, I have less hours in the day than there are.
You muted yourself. You have best hours?
Sorry, I don't have enough hours for all the wonderful things going on. My computer is having trouble detecting my microphone and it keeps making me look at it again, sorry. But I just wanted to say, go look and see what they're offering in your area, because I think all the creatives are going, okay, wow, what can I do in this new situation?
I have a question before we go back to the big group. And I like what you taught, Rowan. I'm also a filmmaker. I'm working with some people to see how can we make online films. I can imagine kind of interviewing you on kind of Zoom, just kind of how you are at the moment. Would that be a way that you could share me your email address? So kind of I can type my address
Well,
here.
of course, it's in the document where we all sign up.
Oh yeah.
So just look me up.
Yeah. Okay, I will do.
And I'd be happy to talk to you.
So we have about 30 seconds. Katie, Paris.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. The weather here is rainy, and I'm the rainy weather, and you, and some so beauty things for me.
Thank you. So let's come back to the main session. Bye.
Okay, welcome back. Everyone's slowly coming back. I think we're almost there. Okay, yay, we're all back. Hope that was a good experience, or if it wasn't, that's fine too. So let's see, next we have about up to half an hour to sort of wrap up. I want to do two things, two questions. The first question, I want to go hear from everyone about what you appreciated, what you liked about the experience. Oh, I'm going to stop the recording and make a separate recording of this. I want to be able, I wanted to be able to harvest the kind of the positive experiences here. So to hear from everyone, just you all took part in an empathy circle. What was the positive experience that you had, or what are the things that you liked about the experience? And then after that, we'll go around once, and then the second time we'll go around is just sort of a harvesting of any insights that you had from the circle, like ideas about how to spread the practice in Extinction Rebellion or in other places. So going around first do we have someone that can call? Did we lose? Oh, there's Bill. Do you want to be willing to call on people, Bill?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Okay.
Okay. First up on my screen, Rowan.
Hi, sorry if I get muted again. My computer can't detect my microphone, so it's going crazy. The thing that I noticed today I was in an empathy circle with mostly women, and that was very much more comfortable for me than when I'm in an empathy circle with mostly men. And I need to think about that for myself. Why is that? But I deeply appreciate everyone who spoke and everyone who listened.
Thank you. Okay. James? You're muted, James.
Edwin, can you just remind us what this first circle is we're doing?
We're just saying what we liked about the process, about the empathy circle process. So it's kind of like harvesting some testimonials, you know, positive stories that we can use for promotion and stuff.
I'm gonna pass. Thank you.
Okay. Carolina?
I like practice today. However, it started for me with a lot of difficulty because I didn't feel well. I had a migraine, and so it was difficult on the beginning, but somehow I managed to mobilize myself and focus, and I'm glad of it because it was very interesting listen to the participants in my circle about empathy circle, about living online, about possibilities they will stay with us maybe if coronavirus crisis will end. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Richard?
What I like is this, I don't have a better word, but some kind of collective intelligence, that there is some wisdom coming up when we sit together and share, and everybody shares, and also the way how things are arranged. So you listen and then you talk, that there is, for me, there is some wisdom coming up in the group, and then I feel it's very tangible. Like, yeah, there is all those stories that we share, they're all interconnected, and there is something deeper that reveals itself by just listening and taking the time to listen.
Thank you. Katie?
Hi. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, actually. I think I'm learning how to retain information more fully, if you like, and listen to people. I think sometimes I can lose the beginning of something because if somebody's talking for a long time, I find it hard to concentrate. I've always been that way, and it's something I think it will help me get better at. So that's the one thing. The second thing is just the depth of the conversation was fascinating, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Katie. Martha?
Yeah, today I really appreciated staying with difficulty, or like with the reality of the moment, and sticking with that, with speaking truth.
Thank you, Martha. Marianne?
Yeah, I really appreciated how real everybody was, real and present in our group and caring. Thank you.
Pari? You're muted? There.
Yes. I like that when at the first we are talking from maybe different views, and after a while we connected to each other and we have some reflects for each other and have some feelings for each other, and I saw more connection between the people, and I really love that.
Great, thank you. Corey?
Thank you. What worked for me is the sense of depth that I felt with people that I didn't know at the beginning, and through really feeling heard and hearing others. To, I believe Robert may have said before, it's sort of a collective consciousness. I felt that as well. Deep appreciation for something that can seem so simple on the surface and has so much significance and depth ultimately. I think the gift for me is really feeling heard, and that I want to experience more of that. So it's very cleansing for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. Ben?
Yeah, so I had some trouble with my video during the call, and that came up as a minor topic. So I think we got to quite a deep place actually. We managed to talk about care, and I think the real bottom, the real depth of where we got to was kind of considering that, you know, building human relationships was a very important aspect of you know, empathy, like, you know, real human relationships. We can reach out to people.
Thanks, Ben. Michaela?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the circle I was part of, and I felt very heard and completed. And yeah, I think that was it. We discussed first. We started a discussion about the topic, but then we ended up discussing about different things, but each things were kind of like connected some way to each other. So that was very nice for me to see. So thank you.
Great, thanks. Kevin?
Yeah, today was a good call. I think I think that on this, unfortunately, the coronavirus is going to continue to be a catalyst to drive these forms of communication online. And then when we do finally get a chance to drive these communications face to face, I think the corona is driving community is driving community together on the back end when we get a chance to be together again.
Sure, thank you, Kevin. Leona?
Yeah, I realize what I'm really getting from this is both dropping into open circles and meeting people I would never meet, and hearing people I would normally never hear from. And then sometimes there's value for me in having a local circle or a topic-based circle. And I want to just reflect what Kevin said, which is when we come to the end of physical isolation, if I've built my local circle, we can go back to reconnecting in person. We will have already established our relationships. So those two things have come out of it for me about attending to the longer term of this, and just loving joining these. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Connie?
Yes, here I am, Sunny. Yes, I appreciated today a lot. I got a lot of inspiration, and this felt very beautiful to get paraphrased and to see how we paraphrase each other, and this felt very beautiful. It felt good. With my English, I feel a little limited, but it's also, I realized, a very beautiful way to improve my English, to get it paraphrased. So yes, all together was beautiful. Thank you, everybody, very much. See you next time.
Thank you. And Sally? Sally, can you hear us? Ah, there you go.
Hi. Yeah, sorry, I have noisy dogs. So I was ready, but anyway, oh God, there they go again. Must be someone at the gate. So we had a really kind of, I would have to call it an evolutionary growth of it started with frustration with the sorry, yeah, frustration with the media and the lack of scientific efforts that were being presented by the media and government and so on. And it resolved itself with the excitement or the recognition that the empathy circle is the most ideal way, two-way communication to express listening and feeling and to go in that direction. That is the most important thing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I think everybody is gone except for me and Edwin. I'll just say that I always appreciate, even though the practice is the same, it's not necessarily the practice, but the people. And the fact that, excuse me, that people are willing to come and to try and to put it out there. It may seem small, but to me, it's profound. I really appreciate it. And thank you. Edwin?
Oh, thanks, Bill. So see, for me, every group is a different sort of energy, different feeling to it. And so so I appreciate that. Group to group, the sort of the energy changes, but the underlying foundational practice, I find, creates a sense of safety and a sense of fairness. So I appreciate that quality. You know, everyone gets a chance to be heard. Someone in the group said, "Hey, I don't get heard very often in my family, or because I'm a quieter person." And so this really creates a space for people who maybe don't feel heard as much or as often to, you know, get that. So I really, that's one of the main things I appreciate. So I want to do a second round. Just, you know, our question was, how do we spread the practice in Extinction Rebellion or beyond? And so maybe we can do a second round, you know, take a minute or two or to kind of share any kind of really relevant ideas that came up. I can maybe start with that. What came up in our group is that the empathy circle can be used in a lot of different contexts. So it was about using it in your family, using it, you know, with friends, using it in XR or any kind of organization. So it can be used in a lot of different contexts. Oh, one thing I was gonna make a separate clip of this. Just started. Sorry, let me stop the recording for a second. Record to this computer. Okay, hopefully that's working. So, so this is our part, just getting sort of feedback on ideas about the how to spread the empathy circle in XR. So those were some ideas that, and that in like XR was, you know, sometimes there's like dominating people in a you know, in a meeting, and then that the empathy circle could be used at the beginning of you know, of groups, so that everyone sort of gets a chance to be heard and seen, and so it would kind of help set the tone. And then I also find that just doing these circles, getting us together, experiencing it, that this will slowly kind of build connections among all the participants here to start getting to network with each other. We have this intention of spreading the practice, and then I already see a lot of people are starting you know, when someone in our group was mentioning they're working in Switzerland, they have 3 circles that they're doing in Switzerland, in German, English, and French. And I know that Martha is doing it in Ireland. They just had a really big group there, and there's, you know, people talking about it in Australia. So it is kind of spreading. And I think just getting together, having this intention together will help spread it. So would you just call on people again, Bill, to just share ideas that maybe came up in your group?
Sure. Okay. I'll start again. Rowan? You're muted, Rowan. Oh,
I know my computer really doesn't want to be on here.
Okay.
And my group didn't really talk about the questions, so sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. Thanks for sharing. Richard?
Yeah, one of the insights that I had in the talk is, you know, that Extinction Rebellion initially had this thing like, okay, we want to stop society, you know, have a full stop, saying, okay, you know, literally stop traffic, stop this way of society. And that in a way now, although it was different than expected, the whole society kind of came to a stop. You know, planes are not flying anymore, squares are empty. So this insight, like, okay, this initial thing, we have to stop society, that it happened, that it already happened in a way. And I sense like, hey, this could be also a new step, saying, okay, now once society is stopped in a way, what are the things that we want to support? And I also noticed through these empathy circles, I hear from a lot of people who, within the chaos and the fear and all the other stuff, that there are really nice things growing. There are mothers saying like, hey, I can talk with my daughters again. You know, kind of, we have every morning, we have breakfast, kind of, this is this small thing. We had in our group somebody saying like, hey, I'm handicapped, kind of, and there is so much cultural stuff that goes on. I can now be part of that in a way. So my insight would be like for XR or for society as a general, I think we came kind of to a full stop as a society. And I think now, at least what I see as my mission, like, okay, how can we identify those nice things that are happening, and how can we share them so people see like, hey, you know, even in this chaos, there are very beautiful things happening, and how can we grow them, maintain them, nurture them, and protect them, and saying like, you know, change is happening now. You know, mothers are sitting with their daughters, which might feel very simple, but I think that could be the new society, so to say. So that was one of the insight that kind of, that's still buzzing in my mind.
Thank you, Richard. Katie?
Hi. Yeah, we discussed really the regenerative movement in XR in terms of how it's kind of, it's happened sooner than we thought it might happen in terms of the coronavirus, and how that's affecting the way that people are using this platform, which is kind of, it sounds awful to say it, but it's kind of brought an opportunity to empathy circles in a sense, to develop a little bit, because more people are probably accessing it. But there was also some discussion about what will happen at the end of this crisis. I don't think there's an end to this crisis, don't get me wrong, but an end to the corona crisis, in terms of people returning back to a more ordinary existence, if that's going to happen. Yeah, I'm probably jabbering on, I'm sorry. And I've just got one more question, actually. In terms of how we use this online, it didn't come up in our talk, but it would be interesting to learn more about the tech side of it, so that we've got the confidence to do it more locally. Just a side question. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Okay. And I'll let Edwin answer that at the end. Marta?
there was something about doing it as a group rather than just one-on-one, and we didn't talk about it in the circle, but what came up for me was that I've been thinking how to use empathy to sort of lobby politicians, but I was thinking one-on-one, and I'm thinking, is there a way of grouping them into empathy circles and reaching them that way? I don't know, just starting to think about it though.
Thank you. Marianne?
Yes. I think, well, we didn't talk about that so much explicitly, too much. I think that we were practicing building our capacity to listen to feelings attached to our words and thoughts, and building our capacity to change internally as a result of listening.
Great. James?
Thanks. Yeah. I think that did come up in our circle, and for me, the insight that I'm working on from is how and even I hear in this group, we talk about bringing people in, and I'm finding it more effective to simply identify who the actors are who are already doing it and who want to be more involved, identifying them as a way of growing and becoming stronger, doing this in a more cooperative way. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Carolina?
Well,
Oh no, you're there.
can I speak?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, we didn't talk much about spreading empathy circle. That's true, but Kathy was for me was interesting what Kathy mentioned about teaching children empathy circle and bringing empathy circles to schools and kind of spreading in a young generations this practice might be very helpful. It will give us change in few years, but that's how it should be. That's how it might grow and become really strong in our society. So that was interesting, very, very interesting for me. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Sally?
Hi. Yeah. Sorry, I just ate something hot.
Right.
So, I think, in order to add something, I just, I gotta stop being afraid, of doing it myself. I'm a little shy, and, I've never been the leader. So that's kind of where that goes, and I'll just pass it on.
Okay, thanks, Sally. Parry?
Excuse me, I think I don't have any idea now for now, but I'm thinking that maybe I don't know how to say that. I think I want a part in this here. I want to say my gratitude for what we have now here, but I want to give a chance for us to say the things that maybe plucked us to more connected to each other here. If another session was a time, I want to explain the things that I have in this place.
Okay, thank you. Are you done?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, sure. Corey?
So for me, the idea of spreading this, I work one-on-one with clients in sharing nonviolent communication. And for me, this is a gift because it's sort of an extra skill set that I can have at the ready when there are perhaps more than one client and I'm working with multiple clients perhaps at the same time, which has been the case. So I'm really grateful for that. I'm savoring that. And I'm also feeling like there's beautiful international flavor to the call today, seeing people from everywhere, all different parts of the planet, and it gives me that sense of global family. So I'm complete. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Corey. All right, Ben?
Yeah, so I think two things came up in our group that were really poignant to me. One was the ability of people to change as a result of listening. You know, I think there are a few times that brought up. I think Marianne introduced the topic, but I think it sort of passed around a little bit, and we kind of considered how we change as a result of listening. And then in response to that, I considered like my own difficulty in, you know, sometimes I can receive feedback very flexibly and malleably, and sometimes it can be very difficult for me to, you know, adapt to that. So, yeah, I think that was the most live theme for me.
Thanks, Ben. All right, Kevin.
Yes. Where do I start? What I got, I just wanted to, I guess, make just a point. Something that Richard said stuck out to me, and that everything is now stopped. And with mothers being with daughters, and it struck me as it struck me as pretty important in the context that you know, to move forward, what's on the other side of this corona thing. And there's a saying out there that says, you know, the other side of chaos is beautiful. And I think that speaks to what Richard said, in that mothers and daughters are together now. And, you know, that potentially is the leadership that we need on the other side of this thing, to be matriarchal instead of patriarchal. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for everyone and for everyone's time here. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin. Leona?
Yeah, I think what's coming close to what Edwin said for me was the sense that having a range of empathy circles feels really important, so people can come to the one that feels really alive for them in the moment. So it might be just an open listening empathy circle. It might be finding one that's located in your area so you can stay connected when we're allowed out again. It might be one around a particular topic that is alive. And I mean, one that's coming up for me is, how are parents who are juggling custody managing right now? I mean, really feeling for the non-custodial, for the parent who's not got the children, and how that might be impacting the family structure. And you know, there's so many topics that are alive right now, so many. and offering some topic focused ones so people can share. Thanks, I'm done.
Great, thank you, Leona. Okay, well, there was a lot of things. I was struck by the parallels that came up between the empathy circle and then also the People's Assembly process. And also Kevin mentioned how it's similar to the kind of indigenous peoples way of also governing and communicating with each other. There's a lot of commonalities, and I think, and then the other part, which was sort of humorous, is that, you know, people get, I know I am, you know, very excited about it, and you present it to a friend, and they give you the sign of the cross because they don't want to hear about it. And we just kind of learn to take that in good humor, and we still maintain connection. And I'll get him in the end. That's all I know. All right, Edwin.
Thanks. You'll get him, Bill.
Yeah.
We'll all get him. We'll change the world. Yeah, make it more empathic one way or another. So yeah, thanks for those comments. I'm just putting the link in again to the Google document. If you would have some time, go in there and add some comments, you know, any sort of final feedback or thoughts or questions to that document. That was a good way to, you know, for us to harvest those insights and start working with them and address those questions and sort of sort the comments. It just helps to harvest and sort of build the documentation for how the empathy circle works. Kind of the next cafes this Friday, we have 2 empathy cafes, or one is actually on conflict in XR, but it's sort of how do we address conflict, and the empathy circle is sort of the first step in addressing personal conflict. You know, you bring people into an empathy circle who are in conflict, and it really helps to sort of unravel the threads, the Gordian knot of a conflict. Then after that, we have a support group. If you're wanting to facilitate an empathy circle, we have time for you to receive support. So that's all online. You can see the links in our work group or online. We have the next Wednesday, it'll be the topic, this time slot will be on the coronavirus. We've had one, and that will be the second, and we're looking to expand that topic. So have a whole series on it, and we're, you know, slowly working towards that. And then starting Saturday, April 4th, we're starting a 10-week series on the XR, Extinction Rebellion 10 principles. So every week we'll be looking at a different principle going forward. And so the best thing with the practice is, you know, there's plenty of documentation, and we're just really encouraging you that, you know, once you've tried this process, you can just go bring some family members together, bring some friends together, you know, reach out online and just learn by doing. It's really the best way, is just, you know, invite 2 or 3 more people and create your own empathy circle, and then report back. You know, how was that experience? You know, we're here to support you in spreading the practice. So that's pretty much all I've got. I don't know, anything else for anybody else? Bill or Martha or Carolina, any final thoughts? It's all good. Okay, then thank you very much. It was great. The recording will be online, and, you know, couple days we'll post it. So if you want to see it, etc.